Alright, so what I've given you is, everybody grab one of these. These are, I have no idea if these are the ones y'all used or not, but they're just ones that you can look through and see how we did. Didn't really find a lot of scratch work. I think most of y'all either threw it away or took it with you, but that's fine. So try and remember what you did. These don't leave with you, but if you want to take notes so that you can review it, that I will trust that it will be destroyed as soon as we are done, because these are kind of held under lock and key by calculus teachers. These aren't really published to the public. So when you're done with the review, the AP rolls around, just destroy all that stuff for me and I'll be happy. Okay, here we go. You will see two scores. One of them is our usual 90 scale score, and then the other is what you would have gotten on the AP test had this been you taking it. Okay, so the one at the top is what went into the grade book, and the one at the bottom, the one that's circled at the bottom, is what you would have gotten had this been your AP test.
Dang.
So it's pretty much 3-1 for everybody else. So
Dang.
I hope it was an eye-opening experience, and you
Can I
got
take
to
the
come into
AP,
this. Good, yeah.
Fine.
We're gonna jump a couple of points here. I would certainly hope.
Dang. Just gonna keep saying that.
And it's broken down at the top. You see how many multiple choices you got right, and then under that they break down the free responses question by question, so you can see how many points you got on each one. We are going to go over all of them, and it's not just going over them. If it's the kind of question we need to stop and review, okay, I can't remember how to do related rates, then we'll have a little mini lesson on related rates. So if this takes us 3 days,
So
that's
like,
perfectly
this
fine.
is what I review on
Yes.
the
Oh,
old things.
reminding me of that, here is everything that you will need to know for the AP test. I gave you one of these at midterm. This just has the extra second semester stuff tacked onto it on the back, okay? So put those in a safe place and use them as review. These are yours to keep, so write on them, make notes on them, make annotations, do whatever it is you need to do to them.
Soak them in my tears.
Yes. All right, ladies and gentlemen,
Dang.
let us begin. Number 1.
Pencil go, pencil.
Now, I will say this, grading the first multiple choice. Holy crap. I thought, all right, what a nice question to start with. They're all gonna get it right. It's such an easy one. But no. Some of the ones y'all got right, it was like,
I actually got
how in
it
the world
right.
did you do that? And then these easy ones. Like, you got y equals x.
Got a little multiple guessing.
Sine x, and they want you to find dy dx. Okay, talk me through, that's a y. Talk me through what we were supposed to do here. For the first one.
Oh.
I'm trying to put them up here for you too, so you can see that.
If take a derivative.
Right. That's it, just straight up take a derivative, and they usually, even though the AP test bounces around, like you have easy questions, hard questions, it doesn't get progressively worse. Like the first question on the test isn't always the easiest, and the last one on the test is not always the hardest. They mix it up a little bit, but this one is easy. They like to start you smooth, and then they just throw you in the deep end. All right, what do we need to know to take this derivative?
Product rule.
Product rule, yes, and then remember the derivatives of your trig and polynomials. So I will keep the first, derivative of the second. All this, by the way, is in your that little note packet I gave you, things to know. So if you're having trouble with the product rule, go beef up on your product rule from that. Derivative of the first, keep the first, derivative of the second, plus derivative of the first, and keep the second. in either order, they might switch it around here. All right, let me see if this is one of my answer choices, and if it is, great, if not, we'll doctor it. So the answer for this one is B, they did it the other way around, this one is B. That should have taken, you might have been able to do that one in your head in about 10 seconds, okay? And there really is no need for me to get overly snarky. I'll be my usual snarky, but not overly so. Some of these easy ones you shouldn't have missed, and I think you're gonna beat yourself up enough over it, so I don't feel like I need to do that a lot. There will, however, be some questions where I would just like, where your brain did, okay?
Yes.
So careful on this one.
I didn't take my Advil this day.
Yeah. You did not on that day?
No, I ran out. I went and bought more.
All right. Number 2, let f be the function given by this. So you have f of x is equal to 300x minus x cubed. All right? I'm already thinking polynomial family, relatively straightforward. On which of the following intervals is f increasing?
Okay.
Okay, so before we do this, what is the strategy for increasing, decreasing?
Take a derivative, say equals 0, critical points, find when it's increasing.
Good. Derivative, number 1. Set it equal to 0 to find the critical points, and then test in between those critical points. All right? So,
This one too.
f prime, yeah. We have a polynomial, so that's gonna be 300 minus 3x squared, and they've even set it up nicely to solve beautifully. If you set that equal to 0, factor out a 3, 100 minus x squared, and y'all save every bit of time that you can. If you realize that this is gonna be plus or minus 10, quit, move on, okay? So we will get critical points, or critical numbers, I can't remember what I told y'all, at x equals plus or minus 10. So I'll come over here and do a crude little negative 10 and 10, pick some really nice points. You don't even need to label it correctly, it's your scratch work and they don't care. Something to the left of negative 10, like negative 20, that's going to be 400, so that'll be negative. Something in the middle like 0 will be positive, and something on the right side will be negative. Then they want increasing?
Yeah, increasing.
All right,
so-
increasing is from negative 10 to 10. Here's where I disagree with the test. By the way, this is 2012. This is the test that was released in 2012. Those
Are we
kids.
gonna be taking another one of these tests?
We're gonna do one more, probably the week before we go to coastal,
Okay.
to see how much we've grown, and then the coastal will be the real deal for your final exam. Can you tell me why I disagree with the answer choice they've got?
It's in brackets.
It's in brackets. They have since, I don't know who's in charge of this mess, but they've become a tad bit more forgiving on the brackets versus parentheses. I'm still old school. I say at negative 10 and 10, it is 0. It is not moving up or down. But the right answer for that one would have been B. I'm glad they still put parentheses on infinities. That's nice. All right, number 3. Holy
You know, I said
I got it.
this one for a minute, and I was like, and then I looked back and I was like, oh, no.
If you don't recognize the definition of the antiderivative of secant,
Yeah.
okay, all right, that's it.
But I think,
Don't
I
even
think
write
when I
it
looked at
down.
it, I was looking at it was like 271, so I was like, wait.
Secant tangent.
And notice they went ahead and put the plus C's on all of them for you to save you the heartache of that. Man, they have some ridiculous mess there. That one's A.
Yeah, they can make you think of a lot of the things they got that.
Yeah, don't let them do that either. Don't let them put answers down and you're like, ooh, that looks good. What is that? All right, number 4. F of x. By the way, if this one, if you missed number 3, which a few people did, go back and, this is just remembering the chart. Some of y'all have not paid enough heed to the easy derivatives and antiderivatives. Go back and learn your charts, okay? If you're flipping through this thing right here, everywhere, and if I'm just kind of, oh look, there's a chart. I should probably memorize all that crap, okay? Oh look, there's another chart. Should probably memorize that crap. Yeah. Memorize those. Number 4, f of x is 7x minus 3 plus plus natural log x. And they would like to know f prime of 1. Okay, what is my game plan here?
Take the derivative,
Take a derivative,
plug in 1.
plug in 1.
And
Bob's your uncle, alright? So, take a derivative. Derivative of that is 7. That one washes out. Natural log is 1 over x. So now I will plug in 1 and get 7 plus 1 over 1,
I'm upset
Which is
with
eight.
myself.
which is 8, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I have yet to find, in the first 4, you should be upset if you missed any of those 4. I don't know, that one took a little while. Still shouldn't have missed it, that one took a little while. So we have E for our answer there. You have just about 2 minutes per question, and I honestly think these first 4, or this one, and this one, we have banked some time. That's when we're starting to gather up some time to go back and look at some of these questions that we missed. All right, number 5, which I will not be drawing. 5 is a limit question. Now, a couple of ways they could ask this. They could ask you for limits at a point, or they could ask you for limits on one side of a point, like the left and the right hand limits. So when I look at this, the graph of the function f is shown above. Which of the following statements is false? So all of the 4 of these are going to be true, and 1 of them is going to be false. Does the limit exist at 2?
No.
Yes, it does. Does the function exist at 2?
No.
Yes, it does.
I don't know.
Okay.
It's C. It confused me. I think, I wanna say it picked C than it is D. It's like, the limit doesn't exist.
Where doesn't it exist? There's an
It's
easy
in
one.
at 4 because it doesn't, they
Because
both come from different
The
spots.
left and the right go to different places. Very good. Limits could not care less about what actually happens at the function value. I'm wondering what happens as I get near it. So at 2, we most definitely exist. The left-hand side is going to 2 and the right-hand side is going to 2. So the limit is 2. They didn't ask that, but the limit is 2. How about 3? Yeah, both sides of it are heading up towards 5. But at 4, the left-hand side is heading somewhere just shy of 2 and the right-hand side is heading towards 4. Limit doesn't exist. Okay? So the right answer for that one was C, because the left and the right don't match. So a little note here, look to the left. And left would be something like that notation. See, approach it from the left. And right. A little plus sign there. If the 2 limits are heading to the same place, regardless of whether or not the function actually exists there or has a different point there, when you look at 2, it is defined. For bonus points, what is f of 2?
1.
1. Function exists. What is the limit as f approaches 2?
2.
2. It's not continuous, but it does have a limit. Okay? Number 6. A particle moves along the x-axis. The velocity of the particle at any time t is 6t minus t squared. Alright, so our velocity is 6t minus t squared. What is the total distance traveled by the particle from time 0 to time 3? Ooh. Total distance traveled. How do I do total distance traveled?
First you need to see if it changes.
Good. Usually we do the antiderivative of the absolute value, but we don't have that option because we don't have the calculator in our hand. So you're right. What we're going to do is figure out when this particle actually turns around to see if there's a changeover in the middle. All right, if I set the velocity equal to 0, factor out a t, I will get that we have stopping points or critical points at t equals 0 and at 6. That is not an issue, people, because they want me to do the total distance traveled from 0 to 3. Fine. Whatever it's doing, it's heading
The same way.
one direction the entire time, either always right or always left. So I'm gonna do the antiderivative from 0 to 3 without worrying about a break in the middle of my velocity, 6t minus t squared. Antiderivative is going to be 3t squared minus 1/3 t cubed from 0 to 3. I will point out, even though we have a fraction, they were kind enough to give me a number that would work well in this fraction. Stick in 3, 3 squared is 9, times 3 is 27. Stick in 3, we get 9. And then stick in 0, we get 0. So 27 minus 9 is 18. This particle travels, 18 units for d. Okay. By the way, it happened to be traveling 18 units to the right. If we had gotten a negative 18, that would not have scared us. That just meant that the particle traveled 18 units to the left. All right. Number 7. Okay. If y is equal to x cubed.
I'll have guessed on this one, so
My-
you don't have to.
Don't you dare
What?
guess? Really? Why?
Oh wait, no, I got this one, never mind, I was looking at the
Well, I
other
don't
one.
care if you got it, I just don't want you to guess on it. Okay, what are we gonna have
The
to
next
use
one's the one I
here?
guessed on, not this one.
Very good, chain rule. So let's see here, for those that have forgotten the chain rule, the most common wrong answer, by the way, was, no, C, B. Because they did the derivative of the outside and the derivative of the inside at the same time, without actually chaining it. So chain rule, we have something to the 5th power, so we'll take the derivative of that first. 5 function to the 4th. That's how it starts. The chain part, because this wasn't a good old x, we take his derivative and get a 3x squared plus sine x. And I do not think there is any doctoring to do to that. I think the answer is E for that. Yep, E. I don't know what this one was. Let me see. Then we get to number 8. Our first one that truly takes some thinking. A tank contains 50 liters of oil at time 4. Okay, oil is being pumped into the tank at a rate, its derivative, R of t, where R of t is measured in liters per hour and t is measured in hours. Selected values of R of t are given in the table above. Using a right-Riemann sum with 3 subintervals and data from the table, what is the approximation of the number of liters of oil that are in the tank at t equals 15 hours? Okay, so let's talk right-Riemann sum. So we're doing right 3?
But it's an awkward 3.
No big deal. We just have 3 separate rectangles. We're going to use the right sides. Where is rectangle number 1 going to go from and to? From 4 to 7, which is a distance of 3. So we're going to have a 3 by,
6.2.
the right side of that is where the 7 is, which is 6.2. There's rectangle number 1. Rectangle number 2 goes from 7 to 12, which is 5. The right side of that is 5.9. And the third one goes from 12 to 15, which is 3. Is that right? And that one is 5.6.
Weird.
All right, then we do some math here. We're going to get 18.6 plus 5 times 9 is 45. Carry the 4, 25, 29. And 15, 16.8. Let's see, we get, crap. Alright, 6 and 5 is 11 plus 8 is 19, so something 0.9, carry the 1. 10, 18, 24, carry the 2, 5, 6, 64.9. So why isn't A the right answer? Why isn't A the right answer?
Good one, the
Did anybody say A?
No.
Who put A for this one?
No, let's see.
Let's see.
Alright, how did you get from A to C?
I went down to C.
How those that did it correctly get the right answer C.
I know that, I did the work.
There's something very important they told you at the beginning. The tank already contains
Oh, yeah,
50
you guys
liters of
put
oil
50.
times 4. So now we're gonna add in the 50 that we started with to give us a grand total of 114.9, which is C.
And read the question, I didn't know that did.
Okay. And I'm glad they put this down as one of the wrong answers, knowing that people would just quit with the grand total of that instead of going ahead and put the initial condition. By the way, this is the whole, this right here is an excellent example of them giving you something to find plus C. When we do an antiderivative, this is them helping you with that. Okay. Number 9. Let f be the function defined above. All right. So for number 9, they tell us that f of x is equal to 2x plus 1, x minus 2 over x minus 2. Oh, I got you. 4x not equal to 2, and k for x equals 2. For what value of k is this continuous?
This was actually really easy.
This one was quite easy. The only reason that 2 is a bad spot is because that would give you a 0 in the bottom. However, they've been kind enough to help you get rid of it. So if you were to do this and just remove that and now plug 2 in, you get 5. So the value of k is 5.
I thought that was very silly. Just having the
This is a limit question, is really what it is. They're asking you to actually to take a limit going towards that. And think way back to when we first had to learn how to do limits. This is what we did. We factored and canceled out the bad spot, and then what was left over, we could plug the limit thing into. So k is equal to 5, which is E.
So it was funny how they just, they didn't want you to factor anything like now.
Notice how very different multiple choice is than free response. Quick. Do you really just remember a basic fact? Can you take a dinky little derivative? Multiple choice is extremely different, so we should not be missing these. What is the area of the region in the first quadrant get bounded by the graph of y equals e to the x over 2 and the line x equals 2? Okay.
I didn't,
What?
I didn't know what they looked like, so that was.
Well, area of the first quadrant. Here's what x over 2 looks like. E to the x over 2. And then the line x equals 2. In the first quadrant. So we're basically going to do this. We're going to do the antiderivative from 0 to 2, because it's first quadrant, of e to the x over 2. Now, on free response, I would have you tackle this one slightly differently, but on multiple choice, shave off what you can. This is U sub. The fact that this is not x means it's a U sub, but it's the kind of U sub you should be able to do in your head. If you do dx, or not dx,
U equals x over 2.
U is equal to x over 2, or 1/2 x,
Yeah.
you get du equals 1/2 dx. So we're going to yank a 2 over. 2 du equals dx. So I would rewrite this one as 2 antiderivative of e to the u du. I'm going to go ahead and swap this thing out for u values, so I don't need to come back to it.
So just double U.
If x is 0, then u is also 0. If x is 2, then u is 1. So that's going to give us 2, antiderivative of e to the u is still e to the u. evaluated from 0 to 1. Could not have given us two finer numbers to use there. So you're gonna get 2e minus 1. Stick in 0, I'm sorry, not 1, 2. E to the 1 is e, and e to the 0 is 1. They may have done this. I don't know which answer they chose to give you.
It's A, so they gave
So 2e minus 2, that one's A. All right, soak it in, first 10. How's it feel? From here on out, y'all have got to give me feedback on what I need to fix. Or all I'm gonna be doing is a whole bunch of practice problems to make me happy. This isn't about me, I've already passed my AP test, you have to pass yours.
That was just, me not knowing what EDX 2 looks like, I didn't know like where.
Of all the topics, of these first 10, which ones do you still not know how to do? Or still feel really, really sketchy? You have some derivatives, you have some basic antiderivatives, you have rules, product, chain, haven't seen the quotient, but who knows, could be in there somewhere. Basic definition of increasing, decreasing, which uses the derivative with critical numbers. I've seen that happen a couple times. Derivative, 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 antiderivative. Limits, limits. Notice how limits are coming back in slightly different cool forms, okay, to see if you're really paying attention to it. I honestly think these first 10 questions hit on just about everything we have done this year. You got some derivatives, antiderivatives. The only thing I don't see is related rates. Okay? And y'all stop me, this isn't me just hurry up and getting through this as fast as possible. If there's something that doesn't click, stop me and we will go back and talk about it. It should be straightforward, memorize the formulas. Everybody see how they did a pretty cool thing here with the Riemann sums where it wasn't evenly spaced, but we've seen that in a couple of quests too, where they didn't give you the exact same interval each time. All right, clearing the slate. Let's start the second 10.
Are we recording?
We are, yeah. It was just why I'm gonna stop at third lunch. Because we can keep on going here, but they only have an hour and a half to actually go over stuff, so we'll just, for this stuff, quit and pick up after that. My goal is to get through as much of the multiple choice today, and if we get done a little early, then we will stop. We're not gonna get into pre-response. Let f be the function defined, okay.
I knew this one.
Huh?
I got this one.
Good. Did you understand it or guess it well?
I actually understood it.
Okay. Let f be the function defined by f of x is equal to the square root of the absolute value of x minus 2. Which of the following statements is true? F is continuous but not differentiable at x equals 2. First off, can we plug 2 into that function?
Yes.
All right, what is f of 2?
0.
0. That one's easy. Does it have a limit there? Think. Limit means as I get super duper close, all right? So we need to consider super duper close from both the left side and the right side. Let's plug in some numbers to the left of 2. 1.8, 1.9, 1.99999, okay? So let's think about what happens if I plug in something like 1.9, 1.99.
Yeah. Negative.
What is 1.9 minus 2?
Negative 0.111.
Negative 0.00001. Absolute value will make it positive. Square root of that, number.
Very small.
0.
Yeah.
Okay, ish. All right, now come from the other side, 2.1.
Minus.
2.0001. When you subtract, you still get 0.0001, take the absolute value, still the same number. So on the left and right hand side, we're getting the exact same number. So from the left and from the right, where is this graph heading?
0.
Heading to 0. So not only does the function exist, but the limit does exist. Which means C is out, which means D is out, which means E is out. It cannot possibly be a vertical asymptote if you can actually plug in 2. We've just shown that the limit was 0, and we did continuous because the left and the right were heading towards 0 and the function actually existed at 0. So now it comes down to, is it differentiable or not? You gotta think about what happens to the left side and the right side. Do y'all know what a good old absolute value function looks like?
It's the V, it's a cusp.
It's the V, yeah. Now the question is whether or not this created a cusp, and yes, indeed, it did create a cusp. Because the square root function looks like this, and to cusp it, which meant to give it a second half, would make it look like that. So that's what was going on at that particular point. So we are continuous, but we are not differentiable. The answer is A for that one. That was an awful lot of thinking with not a lot written down, okay? 12. Now here's the thing I like about 12. It is a U sub problem, but they've gone ahead and told you what your U should be. Very, very sweet of them to do that.
Yeah.
Number 12, they want me to do the antiderivative from 1 to 4. Oh, they don't even want me to answer it, I got you.
This one should.
E to the root of x over the root of x dx. They're saying, if we did U sub, what would the new and improved version look like? Okay, so we're gonna let u be root of x. That's gonna make du 1/2 x to the negative 1/2 dx. You know what, I got most of that except for the 2, so 2 du. This is 1 over the root of x, if you bring that back to the bottom. All right, so here's what I'm seeing. 2 is going to come out front. This one I'm going to use for u. And this one I'm going to use for du. Am I cool with that? So we end up with e to the u du. Now all I have to do is swap out the numbers. If x is 1, y, or u is 1. If x is 4, u is 2. 1 to 2 of e to the u, which is c. Again, please stop me. I'm just gonna keep on going until y'all stop me. What did you forget
I
about?
forgot to
Yeah, I didn't
put
check the
1
numbers.
2.
Oh, the 1 to 2, you just,
Yeah.
did you get the right swap out? Did you do
Yeah,
B?
I did B, yeah.
B?
I did B.
I should have stressed that one. Wait a minute. I did. I got it. 13.
Did I get this one?
So here's F.
Well,
No.
you say you went right, did the work, I know did something on.
I don't know what I did, because I got E. I got 12.
Yeah.
I
Let's
think
find out.
I was actually off on my answer and I was like, I must have did my math.
And it didn't show up as one of the ones that was here.
No, I
You didn't
got
do that?
13. I think I did my math wrong and then I was gonna go back to it and she didn't have time. So I was like, it's either D or E.